I'm an RC channel. Why am I reviewing an e-bike? Before radio controlled cars took over my life about 5 or 6 years ago, my other hobby was building and restoring bikes. From custom old school BMXs to old vintage butcher's bikes. I even lived through the fixie trend, and I rode one for quite some time. If any of you out there still ride a fixie, I commend you. So when Cyrusher asked if I wanted to review their new Ovia, I had a quick look, I looked at the specs and I thought I could fit an e-bike into my everyday life. This is my current trusty steed. For those of you that are into your cycling out there, you'll know that a Reynolds steel frame and a Brooks B17 saddle will definitely tell you that I'm into my bikes. And then this is a custom rally burner I built my wife about 12 years ago. Her favourite colour's baby blue, so I built this for her and she used to ride it to work every day for about 2 or 3 years. So that's why an RC car channel is reviewing this bike, because I'm a big bicycle fan as well. Just to note as well, while we're here, I'm 6'1". The seat will go a little bit higher, but this is really comfortable. So there are some rules or legalities for the UK, and one of them is that motor limit. So the 250 watt limit is to meet the regulations, and the speed as well. It can only be pedal assist, and it can only be up to 15.5 miles an hour, which is 22 kilometers an hour, I think. You need to keep hold of this label. I'm covering it up because I don't want you to give you my key. I don't want to give you my key code. Keep hold of that. It's got some important information on it. In the box, you get tools to put it together, and if I'm honest with you, it's no harder than putting a normal bike together. The only thing I say is it's really heavy. The box it comes in is like 50 odd kilos, so I did get out of my car myself and I did assemble it all, but like I said, it's basically putting the front wheel on, putting the handlebars on, setting the gears up, good to go. If you're not too sure, get someone else to do it or take it to a bike shop and I'm sure they'll happily set it up for you for a fee. Also in the box you get a couple of handlebar end mirrors. I'm only using one at the moment. Very handy to see behind you. Instructions on how to fit the light, reflector again for UK regs, and then you get this. This is a twist throttle for the handlebars. That goes on there and connects up down there somewhere. Putting that on and looking online to some instructions on how to de-restrict it, if you're on private land, this will do 45 kilometers an hour without any pedal assist needed. And it's pretty good fun not having to pedal. I'd only had this a couple of days when I had to do my first proper ride on it. We were moving house, so I had to take the hire van back, which was all the way across the other side of the city, about 6 miles. Not a crazy amount of mileage. Perfect opportunity, loaded the Cyrusher up, and I got to see a different side of the city. I followed bike paths most of the way home. I missed out all the traffic, and I got some fresh air. This is much better than driving through the city. I'm going to run through some specs. I've got them on a notepad because there's way too many for me to remember. It's got a 52 volt, 884 watt hour battery. Now that just fits under the frame here. You get a key, little mechanism to twist there, and then the battery comes out like that. So the first thing that's the same as an RC car, it comes with a lithium-ion battery. It's ready to run, and then it easily slots back in like that. Lock it. Good to go. It's got a 3.7 inch LED screen. When you switch it on, it just does a little, goes through a little cycle, and then there's all your displays there. You can see I've done 34.5 miles on this already. It's meant to have a 52 mile range. I got to about 30 and I was down to 20%, so I gave it a recharge. That 50 odd mile range will depend on how hard you're pedaling. So you can go for no pedal assist, level 1, and then all the way up to 5. From what I've seen, that pedal assist level just increases the motor power, I think. When you're on 5, it zips you up to 15.5 miles an hour really quick, whereas on 1, it sort of slowly takes you up there. You've got a nice front light. Switch that on. There's your front headlight. Got a light at the rear, that needs batteries, that doesn't come on with a switch. And then you got a little horn. Well, it's not much of a horn, is it? 250 watt motor that's limited. Now, it's got a 1200 watt peak. The reason it's limited is for UK regulation. So this thing's so easy to ride. Feels nice and planted. Brakes are good. I've been enjoying this for, well, 32 miles now. I love it. The best bit for me is I can just cut through my estate. I don't have to worry about all the traffic. Another feature I like, it's got hydraulic brakes, hydraulic disc brakes all round. The bike weighs a fair bit, I weigh a fair bit, and it had no issues with stopping me. Front suspension is adjustable. I have tweaked it a little bit. It was a bit hard for me, so I've softened it up. You can lock it all the way out. I've got it set up so it's nice and soft. Air suspension at the rear, and again, I've softened it. 7-speed Shimano gears, and then some big 4-inch wide, 20-inch fat tyres, which deal with off-road really well. I done some off-roading the other day before I tuned the suspension. Let's give it a go now. Effortless cruising on this. I'm just keeping the pedals turned. So much better with that tuned suspension. It's still a bit bumpy though, still a bit bumpy. 2 hands on the handlebars. Cruising. Oh my word. I don't recommend one-handed, by the way. I do not recommend one-handed. It's a heavy old beast to try and keep under control with one hand. Trees. Whoa. I've got 2 hands now, 2 hands on the steering. Cut this corner. This is good fun. You also get front and rear mud guards, and you get an alloy luggage rack, which is perfect for fitting RC cars on. Voila! One radio control car, nicely secured on the bike, nice and easy to take it to your favourite bash spot. So I've put the twist throttle on, I've de-restricted it. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but you can do it and it's not all that hard. Being useful again with my tripod loaded up. These don't come with it, by the way, these are my own. So I'm going to go and find a private road and test out how it is de-restricted. Remember, always wear a helmet. Top speed, let's go! Hey! So that was full pedal assist. This is just the throttle now. Seems to stop at 20 mile an hour when you're just on the throttle. And even when you start pedaling, it stays at 20. When you release the throttle, it then goes up. Not sure why that is. Top speed depends on your weight. I'm a little bit hefty. But 25 mile an hour on this thing is plenty. On a private road, of course. So before we bring this video to a close and I share my thoughts on this, I did give it a little bit more of an extreme off-road test. On pedal assist, it didn't seem to be a problem, although it was quite bumpy. On throttle only though, I could hear the motor was struggling a bit. You could hear it pulsing and engaging and cutting off and stuff like that, so it did struggle a little bit. Bear in mind though, I do weigh just over 100 kilos. And then I took it for a hill test. This isn't the steepest hill in this area. Ironically, the steepest hill is actually called Steep Hill, but I took it up this hill and we did manage to catch a Just Eat rider on his e-bike, overtake him. However, when we got to the steeper bit of the hill, it did struggle a little bit, but by the time I got to the top of the hill, I wasn't just about to collapse and I didn't need any oxygen, so although I did have to put a little bit of effort in, it wasn't that bad. And to give you an idea of how steep this hill actually is, on the way down I was just coasting, didn't pedal at all, and got up to 40 mile an hour. So my first experience of an e-bike, I think I've done about 50 odd miles now. Yep, 53.5 miles. So start of this video, I think I'd done what, just over 30, and well, I've done another 20 since then. So I really like it. I'm sold on e-bikes. It makes it so much easier getting places. I'm not going to stop riding normal bikes. For me, commuting around here, this is ideal. There's bike lanes everywhere in this city. Not too keen on the saddle. It is a gel saddle and it's a nice size. After about 20 minutes, it just started to get a little bit uncomfortable, but that's a personal preference. It's quite big and not easy to push around and maneuver. Trying to turn it, the steering, although the steering looks like it goes quite far, it does take a few attempts to turn it round in a room or to get it in your garage. You need to get a good lock for this as well. If you're going to leave it locked up outside anywhere, you definitely need to get yourself a decent chain and padlock. First impressions for me, really like it. Certainly going to put plenty more miles on. I'm going to change this saddle though. This is the Cyrusher Ovia. There's links in the description. Cheers for watching and I'll see you next time. Fill it up, bottles up,